A long time ago, Moses was living as a shepherd in the desert, far from Egypt. He had run away many years earlier after he had tried to help his people, the Israelites, who were slaves in Egypt. Now Moses lived quietly, tending sheep for his father-in-law, Jethro. One day, while Moses was out walking near Mount Horeb, he noticed something strange. A bush was on fire, but it wasn't burning up. The flames were bright and shining, but the bush itself was still green and intact. Curious, Moses walked closer to get a better look. As he approached the bush, suddenly, he heard a voice calling his name, "Moses, Moses." He stopped in his tracks, and the voice said again, "Do not come any closer. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Moses obeyed and took off his sandals. He looked around in amazement, realizing that God was speaking to him from the fire. God said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." When Moses heard this, he hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. God continued, "I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the Egyptians and bring them to a land flowing with milk and honey." Moses was shocked. God was asking him to help lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Moses was nervous and didn't feel like he was the right person for such an important job. He asked, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" God answered, "I will be with you. When you bring the people out of Egypt, you will worship me on this mountain." But Moses wasn't sure. He asked, "What if the people don't believe me? What should I tell them if they ask who sent me?" God replied, "Tell them,
I am
sent me to you. This is my name forever, and the name by which I will be remembered from generation to generation." God then gave Moses 3 signs to help prove that God had sent him. First, he told Moses to throw his staff on the ground. When Moses did, it turned into a snake. Then God told Moses to pick it up by the tail. And when he did, the snake turned back into a staff. Next, God told Moses to put his hand inside his cloak. When Moses took it out, his hand was leprous and white as snow. God told him to put his hand back in, and when he pulled it out again, it was healed. Finally, God said that if the people still didn't believe, Moses should take some water from the Nile River and pour it on the ground, and it would turn into blood. Moses, still unsure, said, "But I am not a good speaker. I can't speak well. Please send someone else." God became angry, but reassured Moses, "Who made your mouth? I will help you speak and teach you what to say." Moses finally agreed to go, but he was still afraid. So God sent Moses' brother, Aaron, to help him. God told Moses and Aaron to go to Egypt together and bring the message to Pharaoh. Moral of the story: even when we feel unsure or unprepared, God calls us to do his work. He promises to be with us and gives us everything we need to carry out his plan. When God calls, he will always provide the strength and help we need to follow his path.